You're listening to the Blissful Hiker Podcast. I'm Allison Young, the solo, female, middle-aged, titanium-reinforced long-distance backpacker blissful hiker, inspiring you to hike your own hike. If you enjoy these podcasts, please consider supporting them through Patreon. There's a link in the show notes, or go to my website, blissfulhiker.com. This week, it's the final four on the list of things the trail taught me that are helping me now. Number 7, everything changes. Maya Angelou wrote, "If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude." That's a hard one, especially on through hikes. But it's so interesting that every day on a through hike, you get a chance to redeem yourself. I mean, think about it. It's like a do-over every single day, beginning with letting the air out of your mattress, packing your gear, and deciding what you'll eat for breakfast before lacing up your shoes and walking on. I found that to be one of the most freeing truths in walking long distance. It's nearly impossible to get caught in a rut because, by its very nature, the terrain and the environment are something new every single day as you move through a through hike. And there's nothing saying you have to walk with the same people, use the same trail name, or even be the same person. Maybe that's precisely why people through hike, to find themselves, to lose themselves, then find themselves again. Number 8 is you will never pass this way again. Very similar in some ways to the last one. Ann Landers said, "Sooner or later we must realize there is no station, no one place to arrive at once and for all. The true joy of life is the trip." Maybe the most alluring part of a through hike for me is the fact that you rarely repeat any of it. Rather, you hike through an environment. That's why they call it a through hike. It offers a metaphor for life and being awake and aware as you go, since it's unlikely you're going to see any of this exactly the same way again. Maybe it's because I'm middle-aged and can see the other side of my life towards old age and, what comes after it. I feel a bit more in touch with this concept. I know I wasn't always popular with some of the younger hikers who got bored easily and found the trail a never-ending slog. For me, I tried to learn the names of the plants and the creatures, to understand the geology and the cultures I passed through. In effect, I fed my curiosity so I wouldn't see each day as on repeat, in a series of physical challenges to be overcome. Perhaps like everything changing, it's important to remind oneself that even unpleasant sections will soon go from the present to the past, and no amount of picture-taking or journaling will help you recall what it felt like if you don't feel it fully while you're experiencing it. And if you want to make serious change, if you want some things to actually pass into the past, maybe this is the most important one on the list of things the trail taught me that are helping me right now. Number 9, let go and forgive. Hannah More said, "Forgiveness is the economy of the heart. Forgiveness saves the expense of anger, the cost of hatred, the waste of spirits." There's nothing like a through hike to clean the cobwebs of your soul, especially if you're like me and you hike alone. You may have thought you were an ultralight hiker until the weight of excess baggage slowed you down. I often argue with the air. I speak to old flames, I speak to old bosses, and I give them a piece of my mind while I'm hiking. Unlike our real lives, and I put that in air quotes, through hiking offers freedom from most expectations and demands. And yet it stresses us to the point of breaking. There's temperature extremes, there's hunger and thirst, exhaustion, injury, animal encounters. They can cause us to become selfish and demanding, giving little thought to anyone but ourselves. On the PCT in Northern California, I was left in a snowstorm by someone I'd been hiking with for weeks. And in New Zealand, I was threatened with physical harm by a Kiwi when I stole his chair. These experiences made me feel horrible. I felt betrayed, hurt, I felt angry. And then I worried over them for a long time before finally letting them go and deciding, okay, those guys needed to do what they did in the moment, and I'm not irreparably hurt. It's not really about me. Forgiveness is a tall order. It's not easy to practice, even when we know it's going to set us free. What helps is to believe the people who hurt us did so for their own selfish reasons, and not because we deserved it or had it coming. While I'll never be hiking with either of those men again, and there are many people from my past I've cut loose, taking it less personally has helped me move forward and create the space for good things like trail angels to come into my life. All right, it's the final one, the list of things that the trail taught me that are helping me right now. Number 10, you are stronger than you think you are. Margaret Atwood, who wrote The Handmaid's Tale, said that if I waited for perfection, I'd never write a single word. That is so true. I've always had a talent for going uphill. Richard calls me a mountain goat. I can set a pace and then just cruise. It's just one of my gifts. I don't know where it comes from. But strength is not just in going uphill or downhill or long distances or keeping on moving in hellacious weather. Strength is something innate. It's something we call upon when we find ourselves maybe a bit over our head or in unknown territory. I guess I never doubted I'd walk a long way, even if I wasn't entirely sure my body would hold up for all those miles. What I set out to do was to discover what would happen to my mind and spirit as well as my body if I walked for months on end. I wasn't always strong. I cried. I complained. I doubted myself over and over, and I often wondered why I was bothering and if what I was doing was worth it. But something inside me kept me moving forward, even if I had to take breaks or change my plans. I got plenty of help from friends and trail angels, but in the end, I had to walk every single step. And it showed me that we have more strength than we think we have, but we can only know that if we put it to the test. So get out there. Don't put it off any longer, the things you want to do. Challenge yourself, get into the nitty-gritty, and see how it feels to be a learner again, to be at the beginning. You might surprise yourself how strong you really are. You can subscribe to Blissful Hiker wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a review on Apple that helps the show get discovered. Blissful Hiker, of course, is on Patreon. You can support the show financially as a patron, help me get out on trail to collect sounds and create stories. Find a link to Patreon in the show notes or just go to blissfulhiker.com. That's also where you can find other episodes, the blog, see pictures, and contact me, blissfulhiker.com. Next week, I'm going to continue to go deep and talk about insights from a hiker who went for her SKT. Now, what's that? Instead of the FKT, the fastest known time, I go for my slowest known time. More on that next week. And until then, my friends, kia kaha and happy trails.